Last year, I was sitting in the stands during the pregame shoot-around at an Oklahoma City Thunder basketball game with my wife Megan and our Ugandan friends Sam, Sylvia, Janet, and Albert. We apparently weren't paying very close attention to what was going on in the court, because all of a sudden out of the corner of our eye, we saw a very tall, looming presence that turned out to be Kevin Durant, who'd come over to say hello. Now this came as a bit of a shock, but Megan and I grabbed all the cameras and camera phones that our Ugandan friends had brought, and Kevin Durant patiently posed for picture after picture. And look at that smile. He wasn't mailing that in. I thought of this experience recently when a reporter asked Kevin Durant about his nicknames. He's long been known as KD, but someone recently dubbed him the Slim Reaper, a nickname that he's not particularly fond of because of its associations with death. So the reporter asked Kevin what nickname he would give himself. The Servant, he said, without a hint of irony. I imagine Kevin Durant fans appreciated or even admired his candor and humility. But sport commentators were incredulous and confused. They called the nickname weird. But I think it's a great nickname, and I think it fits Kevin Durant well from what I know of him. An unusually self-aware young man who is deliberate about serving those around him. When asked why he chose the Servant, he said he tries to serve his teammates, the fans, and the ushers. And in his response, he not only shared a secret to his success, but a secret to some of the most influential people who have ever lived. I'm going to suggest that a spirit of service is a secret to success across domains. So what is a spirit of service? It means you look outward to the interests of others, as opposed to inward to care for your own interests. Consider Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a servant in the most literal sense of the word. She tried to serve her Lord by serving the poorest of the poor, the lepers, and the untouchables. Mother Teresa's spirit of service manifested itself in eating last, doing the most base jobs that needed to be done herself. And when donations came in, she would take the worst shoes donated to the Sisters of Charity so that nobody else would have to wear them. Despite living in poverty without personal savings, a retirement fund, or any sign of financial success whatsoever, nobody would seriously question Mother Teresa's success as a person. In one of her many reflective moments, Mother Teresa explained, "Prayer and action is love. Love in action is service. And a life not lived for others is not a life." Kevin Durant and Mother Teresa served the same master. And that master said quite famously, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And I always thought of this as just a burden. But now I realize that at best, that's an incomplete view of the Golden Rule. Among other things, the Golden Rule is great life advice for those who want to be successful. It even works well for companies. Nordstrom, Disney, Starbucks, Amazon are all famous for their excellent service. And there's a direct connection between their customer service and their financial success. Walt Disney encouraged his cast members to do what you do so well that they will want to come back and see it again and bring their friends. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com, said, "We see our customers as guests invited to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience just a little bit better." But great service doesn't just work well for companies, it works well for people too. Martin Luther King said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Albert Einstein said, "Only a life lived in the service of others is worth living." And Jackie Robinson said, "Our lives are meaningless except for their influence on other lives. But not only are servants more successful, they're usually happier. Albert Schweitzer explained, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." Gandhi's observation that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others may provide some insight into why the fruits of service are success and satisfaction. People want to serve. Remember the words of John F. Kennedy, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." It was an invitation to serve. It was not received as an obligation, but an invitation that inspired a generation. The generation now in high school and college, the millennials, is eager to serve, and those among them who can look up from their smartphones long enough to seek and find how to serve others will change their world. Because service requires action, and our actions define us. If I bake bread, I'm a baker. If I teach, I'm a teacher. If I influence, I'm a leader. And if I serve, I'm a servant. Kevin Durant is deliberate about serving those around him, including his teammates, the fans, and the ushers. And this makes him a servant. And if he wants to be known as the servant, I say we let him, as a tangible reminder to the rest of us of his excellent example. I think I can speak for Sam and Albert and Janet and Sylvia in saying we enjoyed meeting Kevin Durant. And we wouldn't have met him if he hadn't sought out the opportunity to serve us in a small way by coming over to introduce himself. And I think the servant is a wonderful moniker, even though sport commentators are confused by why he wouldn't give himself a more self-aggrandizing nickname. But you know, we can't all be the king. But as Martin Luther King said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve.